They say it all started with a big bang. But what I wonder is, right, was it a big bang? Or did it just seem big because there was no other noise to drown it out at the time? You know what I mean? I like learning stuff and that, so that's why I went round the museum to have a look, you know, what I could learn and stuff. I thought, oh, I'll have a look at the meteorites, that could be quite interesting, you know, see an old rock. And you go in there and you look at a rock and you think, oh yeah, that's amazing, that's old, it's come from another planet or something, right? But then the edge is taken off it because that isn't the only one. Do you know what I mean? Just have one big one, and that to me would be more impressive than having a room full of them. We've got the same problem with the dinosaurs. Just have one, just have the best one. I mean, look, how many do you need? You've got that one, that one. Not surprised they went extinct, they're all in here. I just think we know too much. And when you look at the things that we can do now, you know, you can change body parts and that, can't you? I remember reading about a woman. She was about 8 years old, right? She'd had a new lung, a new heart, liver. I think she was waiting for a kidney. You just think, well, enough's enough. Do you know what I mean? If your body's that sort of done in, call it a day. If it was a car, you'd scrap it, wouldn't you? You wouldn't keep putting new bits on it. And I just think, even though it's clever and everything, we've got to get to a point where we stop doing stuff like that, because I think there's too many people in the world. But that's how we are. That's the problem with knowledge, isn't it? The more we know, the more we interfere. I do wonder that if there was a dinosaur knocking about now, I wonder if they'd save it. Even though it was going around running riot, I do wonder if they'd go, oh well, we don't want it to become extinct. It's like the panda, isn't it? You say that's dying out, but what do they do anyway? Do you know what I mean? Whenever you see them, they're just sat in the woods eating. This dead one here is probably just as active as one that's alive. So, if you want to see one, just come and see this. That's life, innit? That's what happens. Things come and go, like the dodo did. That died out because it was designed badly, and then that sort of got replaced by the chicken. But at no point have I been getting stressed out that the dodo isn't knocking about anymore. Things move on. You know what I mean? Just don't interfere with nature and that. I think holidays are pretty stressful, because you always sort of end up doing stuff that you don't really want to do. It's just that suddenly you've got sort of free time on your hands that you're not used to. Last proper holiday that we had, right, went to Lanzarote, and it's sold as Lanzarote, the volcanic island, which isn't a great nickname to have, is it? You know what I mean? Might as well have Lanzarote, the disaster zone. Welcome, right? But spent the week on coaches going around looking at like different volcanoes, and none of them are active. So basically, spent time looking in big holes. Britain's too expensive though, isn't it, to sort of have weekends away and stuff. Some point last year we went away somewhere and ended up having a walk around this sort of seal sanctuary. 14 quid. They weren't doing anything because they're ill. They weren't jumping through hoops and all that. They were just floating about, hardly moving. 14 quid. I mean, I'm not having a go, do you know what I mean? If there's 6 seals, I have to have somewhere to go, but don't charge me to come in. Or at least let me see them again when they're better. I think the best place I've been is Rome. It's pretty amazing. Just Just the amount of old stuff they've got. You know what I mean? Every corner you turn, it's like, oh, look at that. That's old, isn't it? But then again, that's the problem with it as well. Because once you've been, there's no need to go back because nothing changes. Do you know what I mean? Once you've seen the Colosseum, they don't do it up. I think it's clever though how Rome have managed to do that. They've kept basically what is a load of old stuff. Right? There's no overheads. Just leave it. The older it gets, the better. And yet people are paying to go over there and have a look at it. Whereas if the Colosseum was here, right, you'd have people saying, "Oh, that's a mess. Get it knocked down." We're talking about going to the moon. Trips to the moon. That's what they're working on. I don't fancy that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing there, is there? I mean, Neil Armstrong, that spaceman, he's been, hasn't he? But he hasn't been back, so can't have been that good. At the end of the day, it's just one big rock. You might as well go to Lanzarote, if that's what you want. I was out the other day, right? A woman came up to me, she said, "Oh, excuse me, you go to the gym much?" So I was going to lie, but they find out, don't they? They say, "Where do you go?" and all that, and how many star jumps can you do? She said, "I know what's probably putting you off." She said, "The fact that it's hard work." She said, "It doesn't need to be hard work." She said, "Come to my class." She said, "What we do on Wednesday nights, breathing classes. Classes teaching you how to breathe." I said, "I'm 32, I think I've got the hang of it." She said, "No, it's not that." I said, "Forget it." See, I think the reason there's so many gyms in London is because of the amount of gay people who are here now. And I'm not having a go. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, gay people, they always sort of like to look after themselves, don't they? They're always sort of muscly and that, sort of tight t-shirts and stuff whenever you see them. And you know, I mean, I'm not looking out for them. I'm just saying, when I do see them, they're sort of muscly and that. So because there's more of them, more gyms are needed. But then the problem is, the more gyms we have, the less other shops we have, because the space they take up. The other weekend, I just wanted to do some painting and decorating in the flat. Right, thought, right, I need some brushes and some paint. You wouldn't think that'd be hard to find in London. Yet couldn't find anywhere. Couldn't find any sort of hardware shop, DIY shop. Yeah, if I had an urge to do some sit-ups, you know what I mean, I'd be spoilt for choice. I look in some of my girlfriend's magazines, and it's all like, you know, eat this, don't eat that, drink water. The amount of times people are telling me, "Oh, you don't drink enough water, you." Your dad's like 60 odd, right? I've never seen him have a pint of water, yet they're telling us we should have like 7 pints a day or something. And then they wonder why there's a water drought on. There's a fella on the telly the other week who was saying we only get so many heartbeats in a lifetime. So we shouldn't be wasting them, should we? We shouldn't be running around lifting weights and all that. Now look at the tortoise. Never rushes about, right? Yeah, it lives to be about 250 years old. You know what I mean? When's the last time you heard about a tortoise having a heart attack? Doesn't happen. And they keep coming up with daft ways of sort of keeping fit, don't they? Paintball. You know what I mean? Chucking paint at each other. I don't know where they're getting the paint from. Just been in the zoo, having a look around and that. Went into the aquarium. Mental, the amount of fish that are knocking about. They keep saying like, you know, sea levels are rising and all this, and it's because the icebergs are melting. It's not to do with the icebergs melting, it's because there's too many fish in it. Do you know what I mean? Get rid of some of the fish, the water will drop. Simple. Basic science. There you go, there's a little fish. Another one, same as the last one really, just swimming about doing nothing. Pointless. The weirdest thing that I saw in there is, it's got to be this. Right, look at that. Little sloth. It's called a sloth, right? Which suggests that it's lazy, and yet we're saving them. Look at it. I mean, the zoo shuts at like 5:30, right? So animals can have a kip. So, by rights, that should be awake now. 14 quid a pay to come in here. Look, can't even be bothered opening its eyes. I don't know if it's cruel or not to sort of have them in there. You know what I mean? Look, that one's not stressed out. If you look at it, looks quite happy. So, don't know why they worry about it. It's the same the way people sort of moan about drugs being tested on animals. I sort of think, well, it depends, doesn't it? If the drug's aspirin and the monkey's got headache, is it tight? Do you know what I mean? I'm always looking on the internet to see what weird stuff's knocking about, because they're always finding new sort of, you know, new creatures and stuff. They've found this spider in the jungle, right? 3 foot long, eats chicken. It's weird, isn't it? See, people moan saying, oh, you shouldn't lock animals up and all the rest of it, but to be honest, I wish it was locked up in there. The idea that that's roaming about in a jungle, get it locked up. And what's weird is, why have they only just found that? 3 foot long, do you know what I mean? It's, how have they missed that? Noah made a bit of an error when, you know, he saved everything. I would have had like a little checklist as we were all getting on. Do you know what I mean? There's someone checking them out, quizzing them. Right, what's getting on here? Right, it's a giraffe. What do they do? Now, right, leave them. Next.